All right, people. Here's an interesting bit of news that's come out in the last couple of hours. So you may remember Eddie Hearn pretty much, I want to say about 3 weeks, a month ago, thereabouts, he pretty much dismissed the idea of Anthony Joshua fighting again this year. He was pretty much talking about AJ coming back at some stage early next year, may it be January or February, thereabouts. However, however, there have been shows announced, such as the Monaco show, which is coming up. You obviously got Ben Eubank. He's got, I think, an American show in the next week or so, or at the end of the month there, about Ben Whitaker, etc., etc. So Eddie Hearn has shows coming up, right? There is a show that's going to be on in Africa, I think in Nigeria on the 19th, and then apparently there's going to be another show in Africa in Ghana, which I think Matchroom are going to be a part of, on December the 20th. So that led people to, cast aspersions and make suspicions as to who might be on that. Could it be Anthony Joshua? Who knows, who knows, who knows? Well, Talksport and several other articles are reporting on this, and it says Anthony Joshua to return earlier than expected, as promoter confirms shock next fight planned. And this is from Talksport, by the way. Anthony Joshua will return before the end of 2025 on the undercard of one of Matchroom's remaining boxing shows. Wow. Now, just to interject there, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I think the last undercard I can remember AJ being on was when Kell Brook fought Frankie Gavin 10 years ago in 2015. I think he might have fought Kevin Johnson on that card. I don't have his box rec in front of me. I think he might have fought Kevin Johnson because Lee Selby fought on that card as well. I think Kevin Mitchell fought Jorge Linares. That was a pretty good card when you look at it back in retrospect. That was the main event, was a little bit Kell Brook, Frankie Gavin. Come on now. But that's the last undercard I can remember where AJ fought on. The last show where he wasn't the main event. The ferocious punching heavyweight has not fought since his brutal KO defeat Danny Dubois at Wembley Stadium in September of last year. Several plans have been touted by Edge promoter Eddie Hearn, with the primary focused on luring bitter rival Tyson Fury back into the ring in 2026. AJ has been heavily linked to a showdown in Africa in early 2026, with several opponents putting their names forward, including Tony Yoka. But it's now been confirmed by Hearn in a stunning new development that Joshua will grace the ring before the end of the year. When asked if Joshua will return on one of Matchroom's 3 boxing shows that they have slated in before the end of the year, it says before the end of 2026 there. It ain't 2026, mate, whoever wrote this. Hearn simply replied, yes. There are 3 options for Anthony Joshua after Hearn confirmed that the Briton will return before the end of 2025. Perhaps the most surprising one, given the tight turnaround, will be on the undercard of Chris Eubank Jr.'s highly anticipated rematch with Conor Benn on November the 15th. More likely options would be the US undercard with Diego Pacheco versus Kevin Sadjo on December the 13th in California. That would seem more likely, just to say, because I mean, you're talking less than 2 weeks away now from, you could do it. It would definitely help. If it didn't already need it, it would help increase pay-per-view buys having AJ on it. But you're going to really be getting them. Well, I suppose in theory, if you're going to have them out in December on the undercard, it's not going to be anybody good. But you're really not going to get anybody good in 2 weeks. No one's going to just take an AJ fight 2 weeks notice unless you are paying them whopper money. And Hearn is also working on the show topped by Naoya Inoue on December the 27th in Saudi Arabia, which will be a welcome boost to the show with Joshua's potential addition. It certainly would. Joshua's already in camp and waiting official confirmation on his next move, but Hearn's admission is the biggest indicator yet that we will see the Briton back in the squared circle before the end of the year. Who could Anthony Joshua face on his return? Joshua is unlikely to face a significantly big name opponent if he is to return an undercard of a big bill. True that. It will be AJ's first time. I was right. It'd be AJ's first time not headlining a show since his brutal KO victory over Kevin Johnson in 2015 as a preliminary bout to Kell Brook's clash with Frankie Gavin at the O2. The Briton was far less of a superstar name at the time, merely a fighting prospect, but he's now one of the biggest commercial powerhouses in boxing. As a result, Joshua will simply be looking to find a way back to winning ways and work away any ring rust ahead of a mammoth 2026. Eddie Hearn confirmed it will be a simple run out with no mega fights being explored until next year. He said, all I'm saying is if he fights this year, it'll just be a run out fight. Fair enough. because coming back and fighting in a big arena in a tough fight after being out for a year and a half is not easy, and it isn't about money in this fight this year. So that is what they are saying about Anthony Joshua. So I'm not expecting Anthony Joshua to be in there with anybody decent, especially if he's going to be on the undercard. I would imagine it's going to be a fairly run-of-the-mill, in-out in a couple of round jobs. Names that I could think, let's have a quick look on BoxRec, because obviously, even Tony Yoka, although I think AJ has the beat in the Tony Yoka, if he just wants a run out, Yoka can be awkward. He can be just awkward. In fact, actually, Anthony Joshua is not actually ranked because he hasn't fought in over a year on BoxRec. But like, let's look at like the top. I would even say going down to top 30, going past that. You know, you're looking at the likes of, who would you be looking at? You could look at that Hemi Ao guy. He's from New Zealand. He only has one loss. That's not a bad look on paper, although he's very limited. I've seen him fight a few times. He's already fought out of Ali and can't fight him again. Well, he could, but they probably won't do that because there you go. Victor Vikhurst, very limited fighter as well from Ukraine. You could potentially get him in there. Manuel Char, he's still knocking around. Jerry Forrest, Peter Malice, yeah. Senad Gashi. There's names like that you could chuck AJ in there with, definitely. I look down, like Dempsey McKean's another one. The very limited fighter, you could stick him in there with him. You know, they've got Dave Allen and Johnny Fisher in the top 100. Tom Schwartz, is he still knocking around? Jesus, tell me. He fought... Oh, wow. I didn't realize this. Tom Schwartz had a rematch with Senad Gashi because he fought Senad Gashi years ago. And Senad Gashi got DQ'd. He fought him again this year and he lost. Ain't that something? But yeah, there's plenty of names, like low-level names you could put AJ in there with. I'm not expecting him. I would honestly, the one name that would spring to mind for me if I was managing or promoting AJ that I would put him in there with would be Gerald Washington. Because he's limited. He'll bring you a couple of rounds, but he's got questionable heart. And he's someone you can say, oh, well, he's been in there with Chisora. He's been in there with Jarrell Miller. He's been in there with Deontay Wilder. You can maybe sell it like that, maybe. So that would be the name I'd be probably looking at for AJ, to be honest with you, if I was, you know, looking at his comeback or whatever. But yeah, look, he needs to rehabilitate himself. He needs a comeback fight, and I think him doing this on an undercard means there's a lot less pressure. He doesn't have to worry about, you know, main eventing, all eyes on him, etc., etc. So I think that'll do him the world of good, to be honest with you, just to come back on a low-level undercard, just, hi, I'm here, yeah, the eyes will be on me, but realistically, it's the main event you're looking at. And yeah, I think we'd see a much more improved AJ. We still don't know what the situation is on his training team. I'm probably going to talk about that in Review of the Week because there's a lot of rumours going around that he's going to be joining Team Usyk. I know, believe it or not. Because it does make you wonder, you know. There's no mention of Derek James. Don't know what's going on with Ben Davison. Let's wait and see what AJ does there. But that is what Eddie Hearn's reporting on. Those are my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. What do you think? Anthony Joshua may return to the ring this year before the end of the year on an undercard. Never thought I'd see the day AJ be back on an undercard. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed the video. As always, people, if you could, smash the like button, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. And until next time.